Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Magium. And I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this time. I'm going to try, I don't know exactly where halfway is in the chapter, but it seems like the chapters are getting longer and longer as we're going on, because my last video after it was all done was about 26 minutes, and if they keep going longer, then that's just going to be a long video, and I sort of felt like it was almost rushed for me. It felt like I was rushing it just because I didn't want it to make it super long and I didn't want people to get bored partway through. So I'm going to try and split it down the middle and make a part one and a part two of the chapter, and we'll see how that works out. So anyway, here we go. And the last little bit was we spent the rest of our trip back in silence, but I didn't really find it awkward anymore. After all we've been through this morning, a bit of quiet is more than welcome. So, and now we are going on to the next chapter. Checkpoint reached. Perfect. Daring was waiting for us when we in the front of the cave. The moment we got in hearing range of him, he started to rant about how we shouldn't have went off on our own, and about how we should stick together at all times. Kate simply waved him off, and went inside our cave to get a bit more sleep, after telling him that this morning's events have tired her out. When Darren asked me what she meant, I told him about all the Duke of Baggleberry and his merry men, and how they ambushed us. "You're lucky that you managed to get out of there alive," Darren said to me. Why did we even bother to have a strategy meeting yesterday if we were all going to ignore it afterwards anyway? After he's cooled off a bit, the two of us resumed our guard duty, posting ourselves in front of the cave's entrance. As we stand guard, we start discussing about the tournament and its organization as we've seen thus far. "I just can't understand it," Darren tells me. "What are the organizers thinking? They're letting people without any trace of magic join the contest, and they don't even bother to enforce a rule that prohibits fighting before they announce the objectives. It's like they don't even care at all about the lives that are at stake." "I don't think they do," I tell Darren. "Do you remember when they made us agree to before joining the tournament? Whosoever wins this championship will be obligated to come to Varathia's aid in case of an outside invasion. People only agree to it because there hasn't been an attempt at invading Varathia in thousands of years. But I don't think that's the point. They just want the most powerful mage in the world to serve as their own personal scarecrow. They probably only care about whoever's going to win. But even so, if their goal is to get their hands on a powerful mage, why have they still not announced the objectives? Wouldn't it be in their best interest to get this tournament finished as quickly as possible?" Maybe there are no objectives. Maybe they encountered some unexpected technical difficulties. Maybe they are waiting for our numbers to decrease. Maybe there is no objectives. That makes sense to me. They might just be waiting for people to kill each other off, and then that would kill off all the competition, and then to be the strongest mage in the world with nobody else that could take him out. Maybe there are no objectives. Maybe this is a life and death tournament, and they're just waiting to see who will be the last man standing. By the gods, Barry, don't even joke about something like that. If that were true, then this tournament would turn to one of the biggest bloodbaths of this century. I refuse to believe that the rulers of one of the greatest civilizations in our world would turn to such barbarity. Before we get to continue our conversation, we sense something approaching our location. Kate's barrier spell must have worn off. Keep your guard up, Barry. As this person approaches, we can sense his magical aura more clearly. His magical aura is just as weak as that of the crossbowman before. Is this a survivor from our last battle, looking to avenge his fallen comrades? When he gets within visual range of us, we discover that he is rather young for a warrior, and he isn't wearing any protective gear. He seems to be somewhere of his late teens, but no older than 20, and he's wearing loose pants and a loose tunic, but not that much different from clothes one would normally change into before going to bed. The fact that he's walking with his eyes closed and his hands in his pockets is not really helping his case either. He looks like he just got out of bed to get a midnight snack, and definitely not a participant in a life or death tournament. However, he can't be one of the locals either, since he would have been immediately notified not to harm him. "Good morning, lad," Darren shouts after the boy. "Lovely day for a walk, isn't it? What business would you have with us? If you are lost, we'd be more than happy to give you directions." With Darren, it's hard to tell when he's being sarcastic or sincere. since there are no hints in his look or tone of his voice, and as I've known him so far, he'd be capable of either of those things in this situation. Our young visitor doesn't seem to have taken offense at Darren's remark, and smiles politely with his eyes still closed. There's no need, the boy answers. I was looking for some old friends of mine when I sensed there was a fellow Stillwater nearby, so I just had to stop by and say hello. There's so few of us nowadays that it would be a shame not to at least greet each other in passing. Oh, okay. My name is Eden. Pleased to meet you. My whole body freezes for a second. An actual Stillwater? Here? No. No. I should calm down. It's likely just some other guy who came up with the same idea as me. I refuse to fall for my own trick. Seeing that I don't say anything, Darren replies in my stead. Don't mind him, Barry. Don't mind him. Barry's a little shy. I'm sure he's also pleased to make your acquaintance. My name's Darren. Oh, then you must be the healer armor I've been hearing so much about. And it seems that you also have a third member in your party. A survivor of the Beacon of Hope, no less. I did not know any of them were still alive. The Beacon of Hope. That sounds pretty intriguing. What is the Beacon of Hope? Why is she a survivor? Did the Beacon of Hope burn down? Doesn't really matter what happened to it at the moment. I'm gonna say, what's the Beacon of Hope? That's probably more appropriate. What's the Beacon of Hope? You mean she didn't tell you? Well then, I won't spoil the surprise. Why don't you ask her yourself when she wakes up, my Stillwater friend? I'm going to stop you right there, Eden, Darren interrupts. I don't think it's necessary to carry on with this charade anymore. You and I both know that Barry is an ordinary human and not a Stillwater. What? You told him the truth, Eden asked me? I honestly did not think you managed to make it this far without bluffing. I must admit, I'm impressed. The Stillwater broth isn't going to get you very far, you know, Darren continues, especially since you're blind. Who ever heard of a blind Stillwater? What makes you think I'm blind? You've been keeping your eyes closed ever since we first saw you. Oh, this? I can actually see just fine. I just closed my little eyes long ago when I got tired of seeing the ugliness of humanity. I mostly only open my eyes in completely unpopulated areas nowadays. My magical sense is more than adequate replacement for my eyesight. I can feel every creature's and every object's magical aura, which tells me where they are, and I get the added benefit of not falling prey to illusion spells. I don't need an extra sense to constantly remind me of why I despise humans so much. Aren't you a little young to be worrying about humanity's sins? Or is this some kind of phase you're going through in order to get your parents to notice you? Eden smiles. You, of all people, should know better, hero in armor. Surely you must have seen all the world's suffering and injustice throughout your travels. The anguish. The agony. You've seen them all, over and over. Tell me, healer. You've spent a lifetime trying to right the wrongs others have made. Do you feel like the world has become a better place because of it? Just because there is a lot of evil left in the world doesn't mean there's no good worth fighting for. As long as I don't give up, I will find a way. Eden smiles. Eden's smile widens, but his eyes remain closed. Oh, so you're an idealist then? But tell me, hero, what happens when your pure ideal clashes with the cold hard truth of reality? Suddenly, Darren falls flat on his chest, and I can tell he's being pressed against the ground by a very powerful force. What happens when you meet a force so great that it simply squashes you against the ground, as if you were an insect? The force pushing Darren against the ground intensifies so much that it made a large Darren-shaped hole in the hard rock soil beneath him. He could no longer hold back the pain and starts screaming in agony. I realize my hands have gone cold and my whole body is shaking. I need to pull myself back together. If I screw this up, we'll all get slaughtered. Let him go, I tell Eden, trying to sound as confident as possible. You want to save your friend, Barry? Then how about we make an even trade? Your life for his. I promise I'll leave your friend alone if you give your life for him. What do you say? Well, this guy doesn't seem to be messing around whatsoever, and he's randomly going to go kill me for no reason at all, and him, and probably Kate after. So if I accept the trade, then he'll probably axe me right there. And there's an option here that says propose a different trade. So I'm probably going to go that route, see how that goes. Propose a different trade. Let's see how that works out. How about another trade? What do you have in mind? When we first met, you said you were looking for some friends. If you let us live, we could deliver a message for you in case we find these friends of yours before you do. So you're saying your friend's life is only worth delivering a message? It is to you. I think you've already made it abundantly clear human life holds no value to you. That means it should be all the same to you if you let us live or die, or live or not. But if you let us live, you will get your message delivered. How's that for an even trade? Eden laughs, and the force pushing Darren against the ground gets weaker. When you put it like that, I suppose you have a point. Very well then, your lies for a message. He stops for a bit to think before he continues. The friends I'm looking for always wear dark blue robes, and on their chests they should have brooches that have a picture of a hawk holding the sun in its talons. If you're to meet any of these people that fit this description, just tell them Eden sends this message. Remember the still winter. And if they ask me what that means, they won't. No matter who you meet, as long as they fit the description I gave you, they'll understand the message perfectly. Okay then, consider it done. Perfect. Eden releases Darren from his spell and turns to leave. I won't let you leave this place, Darren says as he slowly gets back up. Surely you must be kidding, Eden tells him. Yeah, no kidding. Like, Darren, just stay down. You couldn't even get up like 5 seconds ago, and you're gonna get all pig-headed and try and help. No, just stay down. Break a leg or something. If I let you go now, you'll only hurt more innocent people. I'll stop you, no matter what the cost. See, now that puts me in a difficult position. Since I already made an even trade with Barry over there, I can't just kill you now, since it would violate the terms of our trade agreement. Silence! Darren rushes toward the Stillwater and slashes fiercely towards his neck. Eden dodges effortlessly, and Darren quickly goes for a second strike, this time meant to cut him in half. Eden steps casually to the side, making it look like child's play. After a few more wasted strikes on Darren's part, just when it looked as though he might have caught the Stillwater on the wrong foot, Eden simply puts his bare hand in front of his face and stops a full blow of the sword with only his index finger. No, Darren says, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. I tire of this, says Eden, as he makes a gesture with his other hand. In less than a second, Darren dropped to the ground like a log, his armor making a loud clank as it hit the rocky soil below. No, I shout. I only put him to sleep, Stillwater says. He'll wake up in a few minutes. He turns to leave. Oh, and don't worry about looking for my friends. I'm sure you'll be meeting some of them soon enough. He smiles again, and then he heads towards the woods. This is getting very interesting. That Eden feller actually sounds quite cool. Yeah, I think I like him. Darren, can you hear me? Wake up. There's no answer. Just what kind of spell did this guy use? I'm pretty sure that Darren has some really strong spells protecting him at all times. Standard sleep spells should be no more than a moderate inconvenience for him. While I try to wake Darren up, I suddenly hear... I suddenly hear a very familiar voice coming from the distance, direction where Eden disappears. Stillwater! That's Cutthroat Dave's voice. No doubt about it. I'd recognize that hoarse voice and that thuggish accent anywhere. I turn around towards where the voice came from and see that aside from a familiar face, there are also about a dozen other unfamiliar faces lined up in front of me. It would appear Dave has managed to assemble a team in a short time we were apart. The sad part is that Dave looks like a well-bred gentleman compared to his new colleagues. Some of them look and smell like they haven't been washed in months. I guess birds of a feather really do flock together. I've been looking for you, Stillwater, Dave says. I've been tracking your footsteps since yesterday. I told you we'd meet again. No one can run or hide from Cutthroat Dave. I never doubted you for a second. That's a bit of a sarcastic remark. That's pretty cool. Could we try that again? I just came up with a great idea for a hiding spot. I'm so relieved. I thought you'd get lost on the way. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm so relieved. I thought you got lost on the way. You'd best worry about yourself, boy. Your days are numbered. What happened to your healer friend? Is he taking a little nap? Just as Dave finishes his sentence, Darren starts waking up and looks around him confused. Ooh. What happened? Where's the Stillwater? He asks. Forget the Stillwater. Look who came to greet us. Dave's henchmen start talking amongst themselves. It seems they are not fully convinced they should risk going to battle against both the legendary hero Darren and the Stillwater at the same time. I take advantage of this and call for Kate. Kate! We're being attacked. Come quick. Stop shouting. I'm right here, Kate says as she exits the cave. As if anyone could sleep with this stench. It smells worse than all the fields of corpses we passed on our way here. She addresses Cutthroat Dave's men. Good gods, we've already passed 3 lakes since we arrived. 3. One single dive in any of them would have done wonders. Maybe a big rock tied to your feet in order to make sure to remove the filth for good. Who's the loudmouth wench? Cutthroat Dave asked me. We've been here for a little more than a day and you've already brought a whore. Ooh, don't say that to her. Couldn't you have kept it in your pants at least until the end of the tournament? One of Kate's eyes is twitching. Here we go again. Boss, I think that's a banshee, one of Dave's henchmen tells him, visibly scared. Is she? I didn't know brothels hired banshees on this continent. Gotta get me one of those. He grins maliciously and looks towards Kate. Love, how much you charging? I bet I can make you enjoy yourself more than any of these two chumps. I'll make sure I give you lots of lovin'. Knowing Kate, my first thought was to look up. As I suspected, Cutthroat Dave was talking. Kate was busy piling up floating ice swords in the sky. She sent them all flying at once, 5 for each of them just to make sure. Dave's henchmen died on the spot, impaled by the many swords conjured by Kate. Their leader, however, managed to deflect 4 of the swords with his flying knives in the nick of time. The 5th sword went through his right leg. You cowards hired a whore for a bodyguard, Dave asked, while struggling to mask the pain in his face. How low can you get? Looks like you're not all talk, Cutthroat, but let's see you deflect the next ones. Wait, Kate, Darren says. I think he learned his lesson. You can't be serious. And what would you have us do? Send him off with a stern warning? We'll tie him up, leave him here, and let the gods decide his fate. Kate looks as though she's considering whether to simply execute Cutthroat Dave without Darren's consent. She decides against it, probably not wanting to push her luck. Instead, she addresses me. Barry, say something to him. He listens to you. Well, considering he tried to kill me yesterday, he almost killed Darren, and then he came back to kill me and Darren again, and then called Kate a whore, basically, and wanted to do the nasty. So I'm gonna say, try to persuade Darren to agree with Kate, because I think he should be killed. Yeah. Darren, I think she's right. We can't just leave him here. Think of all the innocent people he'd kill if he escapes. You're just saying that to get on her good side, Darren. Darren. He sighs. I know what would happen if he got away. It's just I want to avoid more unnecessary bloodshed. But you're right. The price would be too high. Do what you must, Kate. Hey! Now! Wait a minute, Dave says. Old Cutthroat Dave's learned his lesson. There's no need for the whore to... Kate doesn't let the cutthroat finish his sentence and impales him in the head with another one of her ice swords. He dies instantly. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. That was a nice ending. Well, it's not an ending, but I'm going to end this video here because I've been on for about 17, 18 minutes, and I think that's a good place to stop because my last ones were getting towards close to a half hour, so I think that's about appropriate. I'm not sure how long the other video is going to be, but anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will be making a part 2 of this chapter, and I will see you all in my next episode. Bye!